You're listening to Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Join us as we explore how medical professionals can achieve stellar success in all areas of life. It's time to level up.
Hello, everyone. We're back at Stellar Success Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tudor Francu. I have an interesting guest tonight, all the way from Northern Colorado, an anesthesiologist like myself, a real estate investor like myself, Dr. Gelerie Stenbakken. How are
Yes,
you,
thank you
Doctor?
for inviting me. Very good, thank you.
So, Gelerie, can you start this by just have your own definition of success? What do you think a successful person is, and what does success means to you?
So I think a successful person to me would be someone who is able to um, be the best person that they can be and actually able to use their expertise and their knowledge to uh, be able to help other people and also to be able to allow them to create time and the freedom to do what they enjoy doing, and also in the process help others. So I used to think that when I first became a doctor, I always thought that's it. And once I get there, that's going to be success. And I think what's funny is, we have these future goals, and once we achieve them, I think sometimes we're like, well, now what's next? And I think that we are always trying to get somewhere, but don't realize that the most important thing is to really kind of enjoy the journey and to be able to appreciate where you are in the process.
That's very nice. So let's go back a little bit and tell the audience kind of an overview of your career. How did you start? What was your journey so far, and what are you doing now?
So I'm an anesthesiologist, but I actually started out as a medical technologist. And so that was initially my career. And then after I worked in the medical technology field for about 3 years, and I decided, I just needed something a little more interesting for me. And I also had always wanted to be a physician, but at the time when I was finishing up college, I didn't think I wanted to put the sacrifice into that. And then I realized I really wanted to do it, and that I wouldn't be satisfied with any other career. And so I went ahead and went to medical school.
It's a
And
long
so
road
once,
ahead.
yeah, yes. And at the time, right when I finished college and was a medical technologist, I also got married. And so when I chose to go to medical school, I kind of took my husband along the journey with me. So, but once we located to Colorado, I started working at a hospital, and I realized that I was working a lot of hours, 70 to 80-hour weeks, and I had a baby, and it was just getting to be overwhelming. And I started thinking, I don't think I can do this for the rest of my career. And at, partway through that, then about 3 years after I started working as an attending, then I had to change positions. And when I changed positions, I decided I was going to go part-time from then on. I didn't want to work the 80 hours a week. Now, mind you, of course, part-time for an anesthesiologist is 40 to 50 hours. So it's not really part-time, but in 2010, we actually decided to get into real estate. And how we got into real estate is we we were planning on building a dream home right about the time when I switched positions and joined a different group. And we had been searching for properties, and then we ended up buying land to build on. And at that point, we had all the plans and everything, and then we decided this isn't the direction we need to go. We decided we really didn't need to build a big house. We were satisfied with where we were, and so we had saved up some money to build that house. And so then instead we decided to go into real estate, and we started out with long-term rentals by a university in the area. And we slowly just began to generate a secondary stream of income. And in the process, that was in 2010 when we started that. And then in 2016, we decided to do a vacation rental. And it wasn't actually intentionally a vacation rental at first. We were actually looking for a vacation home. And so we bought the vacation home because we felt like we needed something more. We were excited about having our own place in the mountains. But when we talked to someone who actually owned in the area that we purchased, they had talked about actually renting their home out. And so we took them out to dinner, and they told us a little bit about how much they were making and how often they were occupied. And by the time we were having the entree, we decided we were going to do that. And so that's how we ended up buying our first one. And then since then, we have bought several others. And now I am part-time and working actually per diem because my clinical work is actually work optional at this point because my secondary stream of income is actually more than my clinical income now. So
Very nice.
that's where
That's
I
a
am.
great story. I think we need to deconstruct this a little bit. So let's go back.
Okay,
First of
okay.
all, this is a very successful path, but I'm sure along the way you didn't learn from your success. You learn from your failures and from your setbacks. So what I'd like to do is to briefly tell us a moment or two where you were kept in your tracks for some reason, and that motivated you to go forward even more.
Okay, well, I think there's a couple things I want to say about that. One of the things that actually motivated us to get a vacation home was because I was diagnosed with cancer, early stage breast cancer, and so at that point, once I experienced that and had to go to surgery, we just really kind of had a paradigm shift of what are we doing? What do we find important? How are we going to move forward? And that is kind of how we started that process. And then that we knew we didn't have forever, and that we wanted to build a way to basically build a life raft or a lifeboat so that at any point in time, we would have the freedom to say, okay, this is where we're going to make some other changes. And in terms of how things have some difficult times. Actually, we've actually had a pretty good run. So the first long-term rentals that we had, we got some pretty good deals for that because it was 2010 to 2012. And so we didn't have to put very much down, and the houses weren't very expensive. They were under 200,000. But I will say, close to after we'd had them for a few years, we were having some difficulties with some of the regulations of the city in terms of how many people we were supposed to occupy, who were allowed to occupy the properties. And we were having a tougher time finding the right tenants and also needing to renovate and improve the properties. And at that point, we had a choice in whether or not are we going to continue doing this or are we going to do something different. And so we had already bought the property in the mountains, and we'd actually built another property in the same town in the same area, and those were doing so well that we decided let's really lean into this. So in 2019, we took 3 of our long-term rentals and moved it 1031'd it into a property in Tennessee. So there were 3 single-family homes. We 1031 them into a 6-bedroom property that was a vacation rental, which actually was generating much more in income than those 3 put together. So that motivated us. It was just we were getting tired of the rules and regulations in the city, and so we moved there. The income was a lot better, and then we proceeded to buy other properties in the same area.
Yeah, this is a typical course, I would say, for a successful person to pivot at the right moment when the things are not going well and find solutions and think outside of the box. And I'm sure you did the same thing with this move. So let's go back a little bit on your journey and say the first thing that I want to ask you is, especially for an anesthesiologist and medical professional in general, the mindset of being a doctor. It's completely different than the mindset of being a real estate investor. And when did it change for you? When did you have that click and switch in your head and say, I need to do something else that I'm doing right now because I'm going to get burned out, I'm going to get sick, or if something happens to me, I'm not going to be able to practice and find the second stream of income that you're talking about. Why and why real estate?
Well, like I said, when I started working and I was working those 70, 80 hours a week, I mean, it was tough. I mean, I think if I had continued that, I would have lost my marriage. And it was just kind of a devastating, just kind of, you kind of get disillusioned when you're working so hard and you're earning the money, but it's kind of like a kind of a golden ball and chain. I mean, you don't have very many options. You don't have choices. You have to be limited to how much vacation you take. People can tell you no, you can't go if you need to go somewhere. And I guess that pain and that discomfort and that just uncertainty of the future. And I just recognize that I'm willing to try something that I haven't tried before because uh, talking to other people and looking at how they were doing it, it seemed like I would have a pretty good chance of doing it. Now, it was not just me alone that did this because my husband also, we're a team and we actually decided together we're going to go for it. And, maybe it was just luck, but that first property that we invested in long-term rentals, once that started going, it was like, oh, we can do this. This isn't so bad. I mean, we can actually, and it wasn't generating a lot of income. Honestly, it wasn't even hitting the 1% rule for that people keep talking about the 1% rule. I mean, even in 2010, even in that recession time, it was tough to get that. But we went ahead and did it. And because of that, because of the compounding, and the appreciation, the tax benefits, all of that, it just made it easy to keep going and to be able to end up with financial freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great explanation. And I think, most people need to understand that, especially doctors like us, the the advantages of investing in real estate are not just appreciation
Right.
or cash flow
Right.
from the property, are multiple aspects, especially tax advantages, like you mentioned.
Yes.
And this separate short-term rental loop that you are using right now, it's something very important for a lot of people who maybe don't have that, I would say, tax knowledge to, go forward with different strategies. But this is one simple rule that can save them a lot of money in taxes. And as doctors, we earn a lot of money, we spend a lot of
Yep.
money, and we pay a lot of money in taxes. So
That's true.
I think whatever we can do to use the tax code in our favor is not illegal. It's using the provisions that they are written down by the Congress, and use them in a smart way. But it's interesting that you kind of snowballed this
Yeah.
affair into a business in itself
Right.
that produces you an income that now became higher than your medical clinical income. So I want you to tell the audience, what do you think the strategies, the habits, and the routines that you have in your daily life got you to this point? Are you a busy medical professional striving to excel in life and work? Stellar Success Podcast brings you the habits and insights of top leaders in medicine and beyond. Discover strategies for balance, growth, and fulfillment in every episode. Follow us on Instagram at Stellar Success Podcast for daily inspiration. Start your journey to success today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel now.
I think it's important to just be consistently looking at different options and being able to recognize that there are different ways to do things, and some things are going to be more successful than others. And if you study whatever niche it is that you're interested in, if you are interested in real estate, you have to dig into it. You have to figure out, okay, what category of real estate do I want to invest in? Who are the experts in this field? What do they know? Where can I get this information? And to be able to figure that out and to understand how do I get to from this point to that point? And it's just it's a lot of work, but at the same time, everything that's worth doing takes a lot of work, and it's a mindset thing. Like for me, I'm an anesthesiologist, so obviously I do not like risk. I don't like to take risks. I want a solid deal. I want to see that it's going to be making me money or it's somehow going to be beneficial to me in some way. And so I want to make sure that I see everything in front of me before I make that decision. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. Um, Another thing that I want to point out is that the fact that you decided on a second stream of income other than your clinical income, although your clinical income as an anesthesiologist is known to be very high.
Yeah,
And we make a lot of money as anesthesiologists, but the point is here that we work hard, we spend a lot of money, a lot of time learning what our craft. But when you look back and say, can we do real estate or can we learn investing in real estate? It's like getting another college degree that can produce a second stream of income. And it doesn't take a lot of time compared to what amount of time we spend being an anesthesiologist or being a
yeah,
doctor. So I want to make sure the audience understands that it's not about time that you put in. It's about the willingness to create that kind of second stream of income. Go get
that's right.
help, go get mentorship. Anything that you can advise. What was your mentorship in this journey in real estate investing? Because you started from zero. You had no
I
idea
did.
initially.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because we just were in contact with a real estate agent who basically said, this is how you do it. Those are my houses. I own 80 houses, and I do long-term investing, long-term real estate investing. And so we paid attention to those things. We paid attention. We found a real estate agent who knew the market for the long-term rentals that we purchased, and he helped us find the right deals. And that's the same as when we pivoted to short-term rentals. We asked people who are in the business already, and then we also actually, when we first started, we actually had a company do our bookings and reservations for us at first, and they actually had the data for income producing properties nationally. And so I actually tapped into their expertise, but I just called them up and I just said, well, where in the country are you finding the most profitability? And so they gave me a list and they said, here's where. And I said, well, do you have a real estate agent that you know there? And they said, yeah, we will connect you to Avery Carl. And so she actually wrote the book, Short-Term Rentals, Long-Term Wealth. And so she was actually the person that we purchased our first property there in Tennessee. And so it's just contacting people who have the expertise. It's also reading from books, and we've been reading from Brandon Turner. I've read Avery Carl's book, and also finding people who have similar properties, getting on in groups that can share their expertise and their experiences. It's very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the people you surround yourself with and the
That's right.
environment you're in all the
Yep.
time. And if you
Yep.
want to learn something new, you go to the masters of the game to
That's
learn
right.
from.
That's right. And my husband and I, we also try to, we also are in a mastermind group. We've been in a mastermind group for a while, and we have people who have similar interests who are also real estate investors, and we have set goals, and we have quarterly goals and annual goals, and some of it isn't all just real estate. Some of it is actually just health things. Like I try to exercise pretty regularly and eat well, and it's just overall trying to just stay balanced is so important.
Yeah. So if you look back when you started this and with whatever you learn on this journey and whatever you know right now, what kind of advice would you give to yourself back then?
Well, the advice I would give myself is to, take a chance. You should look at what your options are, and it's so important to just move forward. Even if you don't know everything, you just have to move forward with your best options. And there's always a chance that you might fail, but most likely the benefits are going to outweigh those risks. And so I think that's so important for people who are trying to also get into real estate. that it's a mindset thing. You can take as many courses as you want, you can read as many books as you want, but if you don't take a step forward, if you don't take that chance, then you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Analysis paralysis, they call it, right?
That's right.
Until you have to take action and do something about it.
That's right.
Yes, I totally agree with this concept, and I also wanna ask you, what is the point you got to right now in terms of your real estate portfolio? Um, what do you advise people to do and start with if they don't know anything about short-term rentals? There are many avenues in real estate to invest, right? You
Right.
picked short-term rentals, but in your case, what do you advise people to do in getting into this game?
Well, I think it's important if you're thinking about short-term rentals right now in the market that we have, it's really difficult to actually be making 20 to 30% in terms of cash on cash. Those numbers are really hard to achieve right now. And so you have to understand what your goals are. If you want to make it more of a lifestyle purchase, where the benefit would be that you would also be able to visit it and at the same time have your mortgage mostly paid for by renting it out to others. That's an option. And then also that you have to think about just being in the game, starting now, even if you may not make as much money initially, just by taking the time and getting started, eventually real estate will continue to pay off and the appreciation will grow and you will actually generate more cash flow.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's a lot of information out there about short-term rentals. I think some people sometimes jump into it too soon without understanding exactly all of it that it entails. If you actually have a property management company handle it for you, then you are going to lose 20 to 25% right off the top. So you pretty much aren't really going to cash flow when you do something like that. But you can self-manage it and actually do better that way. But it does take time and it does take effort to do that. My husband, we did a video course that talks about short-term rentals. And so it's just a quick video. And so I feel like that has a lot of information if somebody wants to get a summary of what it takes. But I think in the long run, I think short-term rentals are still a way to get financial freedom. And certainly we're going to continue to do that. So
Yeah. What's coming up for you this year? What are your goals? What do you want to get to?
Well, we have 6 short-term rentals already and 2 long-term rentals, and we're actually going to be able to probably pivot again. We're not really sure exactly. We're still looking into other ways to invest in real estate, whether that be storage units, or I don't think it's going to be multifamily. One of the things that's coming in Colorado is they're going to be allowing ADUs. And
What's
so
ADUs?
now you got me. It's basically another dwelling unit
Mm-hmm.
that you can put on a property. So I can't remember what maybe it's additional dwelling unit. But so anyway, I can put another building on a lot. And so we're considering renovating a garage and turning it into a dwelling, like a 2-bedroom next to our already currently long-term rental. So I mean, it's an option. We're just kind of looking into what we'll do next. We're not really sure.
Good. So if someone wants to get in touch with you and learn more about what you're doing, how you did it, all your secrets, how can they get in touch with you?
We are on Instagram. Our account is Winning with REI, and that's usually where you can connect with us. Sometimes I'm also on different Facebook groups for short-term rentals, but mostly communication would be through that Instagram account.
Very nice. Very nice. Doc, very nice having you here. Hope everybody learned from you, and I hope they're going to reach out and maybe get more information about this specific way of real estate investing. And I hope to circle back maybe later on during the year and see how you're doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity of having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's a wrap on Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Franku. Interested in joining us? Go to stellarsuccesspodcast.com/guest to apply. Stay stellar and level up.